Hello, I'm Jeff Paur, senior writer for RealTime Fantasy Sports, and welcome to another edition of the RealTime Fantasy Sports Show. On today's RealTime Fantasy Sports Show, I'm going to give you my Sunday morning update for week 2 of the fantasy season. I'm just going to quickly run through the players that are playing, players that are out, and maybe a couple other news and notes that I wanted to bring to you. I'm going to do this quickly so you can get ready to set your lineups for week 2 of the fantasy season. All right, the players that are in, these guys are active and are going to be in fantasy lineup, going to be in NFL lineups and maybe your fantasy lineup. First of all, Courtland Sutton is going to make his debut this week. His shoulder injury is doing better. He's going to play. Tough matchup against Pittsburgh, so it might still be a tough play for fantasy teams, but Sutton will be in the fantasy. It will be in the lineup for the Dolphins. Devontae Parker also is active for this week. He had a hamstring injury, couldn't finish the game last week, but he's active, going to play this week. He has a tough matchup as well against Buffalo, but he will be in the lineup. Brandon Ayuk, 49ers rookie receiver, will be making his NFL debut today. He is in the lineup for San Francisco. He could start right away. And Mohamed Sanu is also active for San Francisco. He was just signed, and he will be in the lineup. So Sanu and Ayuk could be the starters for San Francisco. Golden Tate is active for New York. The New York Giants will get Tate back in the lineup. He should move into a starting role right away and play a big role in that Giants passing game. Miles Sanders, another active player. We knew he was going to be active earlier in the week, but I just wanted to confirm it with you. He is in the lineup for Philadelphia, should play a big role, be the number one back for the Eagles, and probably a good start for your fantasy team. All right, players that are out, really nothing too notable. We knew most of these guys were out, but I just want to reiterate that they are not playing today. But the first guy is not a player for your fantasy team that you're going to put in your lineup, but he's a big loss for the Cowboys offensive line. Tyron Smith is inactive for Dallas, so that's a big loss for their offensive line. You might want to downgrade some Cowboys players a little bit. That's a huge loss for their line. So I just wanted to point that out. All right, some other players that are out. Kenny Golladay, he's out again for the second straight week for Detroit. Phillip Lindsay, turf toe injury. He's apparently going to miss 2 to 4 weeks of action, so he's out this week. George Kittle, he's inactive as well. We knew he wasn't going to play a couple days ago, but just, again, wanted to let you know, once again, Kittle's out. Chris Godwin, too, will not play because of his concussion, so Bucs will be missing their number one receiver, Chris Godwin. Mike Evans might get a little bump up in your fantasy value, especially in DFS formats, being the number one option for Tampa Bay today. Jamison Crowder, another receiver that's out, number one receiver for New York Jets, had a big day in the debut for the Jets last week, but he's out this week for New York, so that's a big loss for their passing game. Also, A.J. Brown is inactive for Tennessee, so that's a big loss for them as well. So a lot of key players out this week. Hopefully they don't impact your fantasy lineups too much. I also did want to point out Jalen Hurts is active for Philadelphia. You'll probably not want to use him in your fantasy lineup, but he could get a couple spot plays for Philadelphia in his debut with the team, could be used as a gimmick type player. Also, reports out of Pittsburgh are James Conner, who is active today, and Benny Snell will split carries at the running back position. Snell had a great game last week, looked very good filling in for Conner, but Conner's active and back this week, but it looks like the two are going to split work at running back, which kind of clouds things for fantasy owners. All right, that's my Sunday morning update. I hope all of you have big success in your week 2 fantasy games. Also, don't forget to keep an eye on those player notes going forward, because we will continue to update them throughout the day, especially for those afternoon games. You want to see who's inactive for those games. All right, this has been Jeff Paur for RealTime Fantasy Sports. Have a great day and good luck in week 2.